Welcome to Outside View Scandals, where we take a closer look at the shady side of big business as well. And today we're diving into one of the biggest scandals to hit the auto industry in recent years, the diesel emissions scandal. Yes, that lovely moment when some of the world's largest car manufacturers decided that the laws of physics were just suggestions and that honesty in advertising is really more of an optional thing. So let's start with the basics. It all began in 2015 when the US Environmental Protection Agency dropped a bombshell. They found that Volkswagen, that innocent German automaker known for producing reliable cars for practical people, had installed software in their diesel vehicles that could detect when emission tests were being run. Pretty clever, huh? This defeat device, as it's called, would just adjust the vehicle's performance to ensure that it met legal emission standards, during the test at least. And the rest of the time, well, the cars were spewing up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides into the air. Just a tiny oversight. But it wasn't just Volkswagen. Once that lid was cracked open, it quickly became clear that other manufacturers, including BMW, Mercedes-Benz and Fiat Chrysler, were all pulling the same kind of tricks. A whole host of companies seemed to have gotten a little too comfortable bending the rules, all in the name of keeping those diesel engines looking clean and eco-friendly. After all, who doesn't want to save the planet while driving their diesel SUV to the supermarket? Now, you might be wondering, why would such established, reputable companies risk it all by blatantly manipulating emission tests? Well, the answer is simple: money. The thing about diesel engines is that they are great for fuel economy. So if you're a car manufacturer, you want to sell them because they promise lower fuel consumption and, in theory, fewer emissions. It's like the best of both worlds. Except, of course, the technology to make that a reality wasn't quite as easy to pull off as the marketing departments wanted us to believe. So, instead of spending more time and money on developing better tech, they took a shortcut. And the shortcut was a piece of software that could cheat the system. Now, when this all came to light, Volkswagen didn't exactly deny it. They admitted to installing the defeat devices in around 11 million cars worldwide. Yes, 11 million. And that's about the population of Portugal, just to give you some perspective. And their response? A heartfelt apology and the resignation of their CEO. Oh, and they set aside over $30 billion for fines, buybacks and repairs. A drop in the ocean, really. But what makes this whole situation truly fascinating is that diesel was supposed to be the greener alternative to gasoline. For years, automakers had been touting diesel's lower carbon dioxide emissions, painting it as the answer to climate change and rising fuel costs. So here we were, being sold a vision of diesel-powered utopia, while in reality we were driving around in little pollution machines disguised as environmentally friendly vehicles. It's kind of like finding out that your organic, non-GMO kale smoothie is actually just a cup of sugar water with some food coloring. The impact of this scandal, though, is far more than just a PR nightmare for the car companies. It's had real-world consequences for the environment and public health. Those nitrogen oxide emissions that were being quietly ignored, they are linked to all kinds of lovely health issues, like asthma and respiratory problems. So while we were all happily cruising along in our green diesel cars, the air quality was taking a serious hit. Not to mention the whole scandal pretty much obliterated consumer trust in the auto industry. But who would have seen that coming? The fallout was swift and brutal. Volkswagen's stock price tanked, lawsuits were filed all over the world, and suddenly everyone was questioning whether diesel engines had a future at all. In Europe, where diesel was especially popular, governments started introducing stricter emission standards and even outright banning older diesel vehicles from cities. So much for the clean diesel dream. And of course, we can't forget the public relations scramble that followed. Volkswagen's attempts to recover their image were, well, interesting. They launched a new ad campaign focusing on their shift towards electric vehicles. Yes, because nothing says trust us like pivoting to a completely new type of engine after being caught cheating with the last one. But hey, at least they're trying, right? Meanwhile, other automakers started distancing themselves from diesel altogether, focusing more on hybrids and electric vehicles. It's almost as if they suddenly remembered that there are other ways to power a car besides fossil fuels. Who would have thought? So, where are we now? Well, in the years since the scandal broke, diesel sales have dropped significantly, and many countries have announced plans to phase out combustion engines altogether in the coming decades. The shift towards electric vehicles has gained serious momentum, thanks in too small part to the diesel, in not a too small part to the diesel debacle. After all, once you've been burned by one fuel, why not just switch to a completely different power source? But here's the kicker. Some of the cars involved in this scandal are still on the road. Despite recalls and fixes, millions of these vehicles are still being driven every day. And while the manufacturers have paid out billions in fines and settlements, the long-term environmental impact of their actions is still very much unfolding. It's a sobering reminder that corporate greed often has a price that goes far beyond the balance sheets. At the end of the day, the diesel emission scandal isn't just a story about one company or even one industry. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of cutting corners, the consequence of prioritizing profits over people, and the fact that no matter how hard they try, corporations can't always cheat their way out of responsibility. So what do we take away from all of this? Well, for starters, maybe we should be a little bit more skeptical the next time a car company claims they've revolutionized emissions technology. And maybe, just maybe, we should start questioning whether the clean, green future we've been promised is really as clean and green as it seems. But hey, that's just Outside View Scandals giving you a little food for thought. So thanks for watching, and remember, always take the long road when it comes to the truth. It's hard to cheat that way. And see you next time. The next video is right here in the end screen.